Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration?
Somewhere between science and superstition.
We have such sights to show you.
Strange Eons. Welcome to Strange Eons Radio. That's Eric over there.
Hello.
That's Vanessa over there.
Hello.
I'm Kelly. Vanessa, you will be just thrilled to learn that we have gotten so much good response to the egg timer.
Oh my God.
Yes. Yeah.
It's shortened the show down, which is what it was supposed to do.
Which is good.
And I always, we're seeing the numbers for the tail end of the show coming back up a little bit. So if you're one of those assholes who listens to the first part of the show and then checks out when we get into the second half, you might want to listen to the second half. It's turned into a
it's a tight little 10 minutes
fun.
per
easygoing.
person. Not stressful. I don't
Not
sweat
stressful
at all.
at all.
I'm not constantly looking over at this beating, ticking heart of madness in front of my face, slowly counting down to like humiliation.
But on the plus side, we're not telling you the entire movies.
Right.
That is extremely
increments.
good. Yes.
Right. Listener, we're recording this a rare nighttime episode because, Vanessa, you had something going on this weekend and couldn't make your Sunday night thing, right?
Yes.
Blew us
Or your
off.
Sunday morning
Oh
thing.
my God. I blow so many people off all the time for you guys.
Well, here's my question because, Eric and I graciously moved our schedule around and
It's
then
true.
you were late to this recording. And I'm just curious if you're late to everything or if it's just Eric and Maya's time you don't respect at all.
It's everybody. Don't worry.
This is a bad quality that could be easily fixed.
This is why I'm an editor. I don't need to go to a workplace because I will not get there when I'm supposed to.
So it's disrespect for everybody's time.
100%. I promise you. It is definitely not just you guys,
Living your truth, I guess.
Just if you want me somewhere, tell me to be there earlier than you want me.
We tried that and it didn't work.
It worked to an extent.
Because
I'm
you figured out
sorry.
what we were doing, so then you started.
No, I just genuinely asked you. It's fine. Whatever.
We love you.
Yes.
I love you guys too. And that's why I'm here and drove all the way. Not as far as Eric.
Right. And Eric got here 5 minutes early, like he always does.
Well, I
because
can't
Eric
help.
respects Micah. I actually, on these nighttime things, I take off from my day job early so that I am here in time for you guys.
I
But-
don't believe that because you start so early. There's no way you finish at a normal time.
Okay.
I'm
clearly a liar as well.
I'm sorry I'm not perfect like the other people in this room. All right. I get it.
I
don't know
love
if it
that
goes
just
that far.
making it to an appointment on time means you're perfect.
No.
I called my doctor last time because I was like, I'm going to be 20 minutes late. Do you still want me to come? And they were like, yeah, sure. So
this is obviously what's going on is the rest of the world has coddled you a little too much. And I'm here to bring you down a bit to reality and say, hey, the rest of us all have lives, Vanessa.
No. I will make myself feel so much worse than anyone else can. That's the most funny part about it. I've already punished myself on the way so much harder than anything anyone could say that by the time I get there, any kind of punishment is like moot.
Well, see, that's not satisfying for me.
I know.
I don't get to see you feeling bad about
But
it.
I'm still groveling.
You could record your lamentations on your phone.
Next time I'll
Play
do
them
that. I will leave you voice messages while I'm driving and I'll be like, hey guys, okay, so I fucked up. All right.
Oh, man.
And this is the truth.
I am going to hold you to that.
Normally it would take 35 minutes. This time, 45 minutes. Traffic, my fault. I didn't didn't properly time
You
it.
think the traffic between 10 a.m. on a Sunday and 5 p.m. on a Saturday or Monday is going to be different?
See, what day is it even? Who knows? It's a mystery.
You got anything else going on?
We got to have something else to talk about, surely.
Sure. Well, I watched a couple of movies.
Oh, good.
I think I want to talk about, though, the Willow series that is on Disney+.
Oh, my God.
Are you guys watching this?
That is the one thing I did not watch this week.
I watched 20, 30 minutes of it, maybe.
It's pretty bad, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And it makes me feel
no.
bad because I really like Warwick Davis, and he's actually giving it his all in this.
Yeah.
The rest of it is, the dialogue is anachronistic, to say the least, since they say things like, I was doing this and like this, and stuff like that. And I was thinking to myself, when you dumb down or infantilize the English language.
What a choice.
Oops.
Yeah. But you do it in pop culture.
Yeah.
You literally are killing the language because people then repeat that kind of stuff. And when you've got like a high fantasy, everybody should be speaking, a little more proper, it feels like.
Or more worse. Like, but some foreign version of something other than what we already existed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It needs to be fantasy or it needs to be something. The gap left by Val Kilmer's character.
It's too much.
It's huge.
It's too much.
Like I said, I only watched 20 minutes, so I don't know if this is true or not, but it seemed like the son or whatever of him, they're trying to shoehorn him in to maybe being that character. But Val Kilmer was so charming playing this asshole who happened to actually be incredibly talented.
Yes.
That's hard. That's a tough ask to recreate.
It really is. And the effects are kind of shoddy. There are some really cool scenes, but overall it's been a real bummer. I really liked Willow. I thought that it was kind of underrated, and I was excited to see Disney giving it the weekly treatment. And I'm 3 episodes into it and going, oh.
Oh, well, now I'm not sure I want to engage with it, and that's fine. Well, I finally got to see something on Shudder. It was very exciting for me, which means maybe I'm stealing Eric's pick, which is, I saw, did you guys see A Wounded Fawn?
Yes.
Did you talk about this already?
No.
Oh, yeah. Wow. So I think the way it was described to me was something along the lines of Ted Bundy meets Evil Dead. And that feels very accurate.
Wow. I got
right.
Nothing like that out of that film.
Yeah.
Nothing like that at all. So I saw somebody else describe it as Evil Dead. I'm going, Evil Dead 1 as it is now, or Evil Dead 1 as it was when it was originally presented, or Evil Dead 2, which are very different films.
Yeah. I mean, it's very weird.
It's very weird, but I would approach it much more as art house weirdness as opposed to goofy, fun weirdness.
It's like pretentiousness, but there's a lot of humor in there too. Yeah. There's like a lot of tongue in cheek and insanity, and like I feel like I'm on crack, but I am enjoying it because I'm like, yeah, screw you.
I liked it just because it's so fucking weird.
It is so fucking weird.
It's made by somebody we like, I think.
Is it? I
can't.
Not.
Well, now I shouldn't have mentioned that at all, since I don't know who it was and you don't either.
I can't follow up, yeah. No, but I would definitely recommend it. I think it was a really stunningly unique film, and it's also still, even though it's very artsy and obviously stealing from some Italian influences, and it's still very approachable and watchable and joyride.
I'm going to have to check this out.
Pain Ride.
Oh.
Travis Stevens, who did Jacob's Wife.
Ah, yes, okay.
And Girl on the Third Floor.
Okay.
And I'd say the humor for me was much closer to Girl on the Third Floor than it was to Evil Dead.
Sure.
And I don't know if any of you are part of like one of the Joe Bob breaks thing on. There's a Facebook group or something for Joe Bobs that seems to be, to me, it feels like people who think Joe Bob's cool but don't get what he does at all because they hate everything.
Oh no. Oh dear.
I'm like, the whole point of Joe Bob is to take these crappy, weird movies that everybody makes fun of and show you why they don't suck.
Yeah.
But this site is full of nothing but people that are like, well, this sucks, and this sucks, and this.
Oh, no.
The guy's like, well, I watched that Wounded Fawn. Everybody's telling me it's good. I got to go watch Jason versus Freddy to wash it out of my system. Like,
oh.
Interesting choice.
Maybe, horror films come in a huge range of flavors for a huge range of people. And maybe if you're into Freddy versus Jason, Wounded Fawn, just listen to the title. Is not for you.
Yeah. And you should know really quickly. Because and the end credits were hilariously weird. I don't know how much of you watched.
I'm trying to remember. I don't think I watched them. I don't think I paid attention.
The end scene just keeps going through the entire.
Oh, no.
End
I did. Yes, I did actually. That is correct. I was like, wow, they just. That's still happening right now. Okay, cool.
I swear at one point the actress standing there was
like
yawning.
Bored.
Yes.
She was hilarious. Yeah, she was definitely like shuffling her weight. And I was like, fuck. Like one person is maybe going to have a hypothermia and the other one just needs to stretch a lot. So.
Anyway, so I had a freaking bet with Ron about the damn Seahawks and Tampa Bay when they were in Germany.
Oh.
So I have to pay my dues on this one. Unfortunately for Ron, this was not a punishment. I don't think he meant it to be. I think he liked what he wanted me to watch.
Sure, he sounds like not the kind of guy that's going to punish somebody he likes.
So it's a movie, made for TV movie called Bad Ronald.
Oh, yeah.
Have you seen this one?
Is this the one where the guy's hiding in the house and
yes.
inside the house walls and stuff?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, God, like from 1977 or something?
Yes, it's got to be late 70s. It's surprisingly good.
Yeah, very creepy.
And really warped and weird. The basic storyline is this guy accidentally kills somebody, accidentally with a little malice, but kills someone. And his mom and him build a room that walls him inside. The cabinet in the kitchen. And so it looks like an actual wall, and the in and outs are all his control.
Oh.
And the mom goes into the hospital and dies.
Oh.
So the movie goes from there, and it goes places I was not expecting. It's incredibly clever for a made-for-TV movie, but at the time there were a lot of clever made-for-TV movies actually being made because they were taken a little more seriously than they were by the time the 80s ended, where they were just joke shows. But, it's got Dabney Coleman, Pippa Scott from The Searchers, who's one of the people involved with after the mom dies. Tons of TV talent. And John Fiedler, the voice of Piglet, shows up briefly.
Wow.
But Dabney Coleman was a bit of a surprise when he watched his. Oh, hey, and he's not playing a complete asshole. So, thanks, Ron.
Wow, that sounds like a crazy. That would give me nightmares. I just feel like, there are people inside my home.
It's since it's made for TV, it's a little less. It doesn't push the creepy. It's just part of the story,
right?
So it's creepy enough, but it's not. It's not like a Giallo film or something like that would have been, where it's just like, oh shit. But
sneaking around.
Yeah, but it's really pretty damn good. So
nice.
I'm not glad the Seahawks lost, but I'm okay with what happened. That
your punishment
because of that. Yes.
Sir, can I have another?
I think, Eric, you're going to talk about a movie, so I'm going to talk about a different movie.
Okay.
I saw the documentary Dio, Dreamers Never Die.
Oh.
I will see this, but I have not yet.
It is so good. Man, it is so good. A lot of stuff that I did not know. I'm a big Dio fan. Vanessa, I know you are too, the way you're looking at me.
Is this a band? Do they have instruments? Or just, are they chefs?
Anyway,
Do they race cars?
It starts with him, being a singer in the late 50s.
Wow.
It was his first recordings, and then getting into, the 70s with Black Sabbath and Elf and Rainbow and all that stuff. And then goes all the way to, his death. And it's kind of a very emotional ending. especially for the people who are talking about him. It's a big talking heads thing with a lot of footage and stuff like that. But really a really great thing. It's on Showtime. If you're, if you're into horror, chances are you're kind of into metal, at least if you're our age. Mm-hmm. And this is definitely worth a watch.
Don't be the last in line to see this one.
Oh my gosh.
Vanessa, quick.
Okay, so so one of our friends of the show, Gwen, had mentioned on Facebook seeing a film, and I got really excited and was like, I have to see this film immediately. And that was Violent Night.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, with David Harbour as Santa Claus, but our still magical Santa, still very much 100% real Santa, but disgruntled and kind of over it and very rude. Does a lot of like getting.
Shit. Fuck. All right, it's all right, everybody. I'm okay.
Wow. Drama queen.
Put my clothes back on. I'm sorry.
Whoa.
Unnecessary. So yeah, like it was, I really enjoyed it. I had such a good time, but David Harbour has like a very special place in my heart. I can't say why, but he does. And it was just fun.
He's a likable guy.
He's a likable guy. And I love that he like was doing right before he got Stranger Things. He was just acting, like doing art in the park.
Yeah.
Like he was a nobody.
Yeah, that's true.
And now he has like a crazy big career. And I think that that's cool.
I do too.
Nice.
I want to see that movie.
Yeah, me too.
You should see it. It's fun.
And on the heels of that, it's talking about one from a director I know at least Kelly and I both like a lot called Joe Bagos.
Yes.
Did Bliss and VFW.
Mm.
Christmas, Bloody Christmas on Shudder.
Oh.
Let me just toss out a comment here real quick. Shudder's kind of going through some shit right now with AMC.
Yeah.
So if you don't subscribe to Shudder, drop the $5 a month?
$5 a month, you guys.
And join as soon as you can. The level of, like I've talked several times how I just watched that top banner of movies. The level of stuff I've seen over the last 4 months that's just been across that top banner.
Yeah.
We need Shudder. There's nobody else doing what they do.
Yeah, I agree.
Are they going to go away? What?
AMC's talking about it. They laid off a whole bunch of people.
No.
And so I was like,
no.
Don't do it.
Unacceptable.
It's tough because the bigger streamers also have horror movies.
Yeah.
Right. But nobody does it quite right. And there are other people trying to do horror stuff, and it's not, I mean, even horror subscriptions, and it's just not as good.
No.
Nobody else is putting Christmas, Bloody Christmas across their top banner as a
Talk
Shudder
about
exclusive.
What'd you think?
It's fun.
Yeah.
I think VFW was a little more entertaining and Bliss was a more developed film, but this was just batshit crazy fun.
It would probably come as no surprise to you that the director's favorite movie is The Terminator.
Yeah, no shit. Okay, I can see that. And boy, the lead sure owned the coolest goddamn store that ever would have existed.
Ridiculous. I found the first 20 minutes of it almost unbearable. The whole character building and the very realistic dialogue between these characters was like, for fuck's sake. But once the killing starts happening, it turned very, very fun, and it was kind of relentless with it.
Yeah, it was. I would not be surprised at all to find that Joe lets his cast improvise a lot of their lines.
Yeah.
Because their inability to not say fuck is astounding. And by the time you get to the end of the movie, like I've talked to before, and you want to, oh my God, emphasis line, that word's dead.
Right.
It doesn't mean anything anymore because you talked about crossing the fucking street with your fucking feet going in the fucking snow. So by the time you're talking about a Santa blowing somebody's head off, that word doesn't mean anything anymore. So just don't worry. Just go on with just saying, oh, they blew off his head.
I listened to an interview with him, and one thing that really stood out for me in this was how much falling snow there was in this thing. Yeah. Especially for something that had California license plates on all the cars and stuff. But the people interviewing him had said, boy, I assume that was a $4 million movie.
Really?
Wow. Yeah. And they were saying, I assume that a lot of that was the snow machines. And he said, no, it was mostly the animatronic Santa Claus. The snow machines were $100 snow machines that he bought off of Amazon and just had right off the sides of the camera at all times.
Oh, smart.
And I was like, wow, that's how you do stuff on a budget.
Yeah, no kidding.
Because that snow looked great. It looked like it was just everywhere.
Yeah. It was pretty cool. And he's if you haven't seen any of his films, man, go out and watch it. This is a true up-and-coming talent and definitely needs to be checked out more.
Yeah, I agree. And I also agree with you. I think both Bliss and VFW are better than this film, but it's an awful lot of fun.
Yeah.
Especially for Christmas horror. You don't get a lot of Christmas horror these days.
This is a good one for that.
Okay, well, how about we take a little break, and when we come back, we are talking about Micah's choice for us, which is Southern horror.
I'm holding tight to Billy's back, got a strong wind in my hair. Our motorcycle's far from home and we sure don't have a care. I take my RC Cola most everywhere we ride. Cools like a moment in the shade of a mountain riverside. Me and my RC, me and my RC. Some folks gonna wonder what I'm doing here. Why I haven't settled down with a family or a career. Well, I'll get off these bikes someday, maybe live the way they do. But I wanna know some other ways. Heck, I'm only 22. Me and my RC, 'cause what's good enough for other folks ain't good enough for me and my RC. Me and my RC. Me and my RC.
And we're back. This was our friend, Micah Guy. His suggestion for us, after giving us a lovely donation, was that we all choose a Southern horror film.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think to be more specific, after a drunken rampage around Savannah, he texted us along with a kind donation saying, hey, guys, you want to watch a Southern horror movie? And we said yes.
That's right.
That's how it works. And if you want to donate money to us, you can do that and ask for a film as well. Yep. Now, hey, you give us $5, we appreciate that. You're not getting us to talk about a movie for $5.
A little bit more, please. Yes. Yeah. Alrighty. So, well, I did my usual shit. Found some weird ass film nobody's heard of that has no ratings on Rotten Tomatoes. 1977's Whiskey Mountain.
Whiskey Mountain rising in the Georgia sunset. Is your Blue Ridge beauty really all it seems?
Whiskey Mountain. How could any place so beautiful be so weird? So sinister.
Moving your dead.
So terrifying.
Please don't!
Now, this shocking motion picture plunges you into a witch's cauldron of incredible excitement, exposing the savage reality behind the song, the legend, the mystery of Whiskey Mountain. Yeah, it takes a lot of guts to go up Whiskey Mountain. Only problem is, you might never come down.
Wow, okay.
This sounds like the happiest place on earth.
No,
Oh.
not really.
Dun, dun, dun.
From 1977, but by William Graffe, I believe how you say his name. He's done movies such as Mako, The Jaws of Death. Have you seen that one?
Yes, you
Okay.
loaned that to me.
So I thought, God, he's have to have seen this one. The Godmothers of the Naked Zoo. And he also, I don't know what that one's about, pretty much writes all of the stuff he directs. But he does have a Nicholas E. Spanos who helped him with this, and this is the only script he's ever worked on.
Oh.
Beautiful.
Help you, buddy. Sure. Starring Christopher George, who you might know from El Dorado, Rat Patrol, Pieces,
Wow.
Enter the Ninja,
Wow.
City of the Living Dead, The Exterminator,
Jeez, okay.
and Day of the Animals. among many other things. Preston Pierce from Drag Racer and Gunsmoke. And, uh-oh. So give me like 9 minutes or something, 10 and a half.
I forgot to turn the buzzer on. Sorry, guys. I'm giving you 8 minutes.
Oh, I see. That was not 2 minutes. Fine, I'll go. Here we go. Anyways, let me channel Vanessa. Roberta Collins, who is in Death Race 2000, Saturday the 14th, Eaten Alive, discussed on episode 158 of this podcast.
Nicely done.
And also The Witch Who Came In From the Sea, discussed on episode 117 of this podcast. John Davis Chandler, who is in Deep Space Nine, Phantasm 3, Adventures in Babysitting, and Rest Well, Mr. Pyong, The Sword and the Sorcerer, discussed in episode 23.
Eventually, we will have discussed every movie.
That's what I'm thinking.
Sure feels that way. But John Davis has 101 credits, so you've seen him in something. So the movie actually starts out with a fairly well-constructed dirt bike race, except for, I don't know if you've ever heard a dirt bike race. This captures the sound relatively well, so it sounds like really loud, angry bees. It's a very distinctive noise.
Yes.
So there's an accident that happens in the middle of it, and the guys are yelling at each other, going, what? There's a dirt bike race going around, you guys. But the plot is from there that they are going to find a buried treasure of Civil War era guns worth $2,000 each, totaling $400,000 or $2 million in our current monies.
You did a lot of research.
It's one of those kind of movies. What else can I look up while I watch this? The interesting story about it, though, Charlie Daniels did most of the music for this. And not because this guy had any kind of budget, because he didn't, but one of the producers or something on the movie or one of the actors knew Charlie Daniels personally. And the director's like, sure you do. Call him now. Okay. And he did. He was on tour at the time, but actually ended up injuring himself or something on that tour. So he had to end the tour and ended up writing the theme song and the musical score for the movie.
Wow.
He is much better at writing the theme song. Musical score is a little weird, although he did go on to write like 8 other scores, mainly for short films and stuff. But this is kind of borrowed from Deliverance in its storyline. But instead of a river, they're driving those motorcycles from previously. These 4 people take dirt bikes and drive in the middle of Florida bayou. So it's an interesting idea. And also they all sleep outside in sleeping bags. I'm going, that's got to be miserable, man. What do you do it to each other? Somehow they wake up one morning and somebody's been following them and set the woods on fire. And they set a raging fire for this. So I'm hoping, I hope you guys are putting that out.
Oh my God.
It sure looked pretty good. Started off actually being fairly well shot, but does sort of frame weird. There's a scene where the framing's so completely off, it's bizarre. It's like, here's a head and here's the rest of the building they're standing in. And so it's very weird at times, but Ernest, dude, like to make a lot of movies. I don't know how deep in the woods they're going because it seems like they've been riding their motorcycles and walking for about 4 days. Like, wow, man. So you're going up and down Florida, not across, whatever it is. But the place they're looking for is deep in the woods. But they eventually find it, or do they? Will they get the treasure? Will it go smoothly for them? And all will leave unalive and unharmed, of course.
I feel like I know the answers.
Probably not.
No. Okay.
Although I will give the director a little, like, come on, man. Where you're basing it on Deliverance, but the rape goes to the women. It's like, come on, you should have the bayou guys raping the 2 guys that are there, not the 2 women.
Yeah, that's low-hanging fruit.
The way it should be.
Right. Equal opportunity rapist.
Racist.
Racist, rapist.
Yeah,
they're probably both.
There's some crossover. The guy who made this is part of a Arrow box set of a bunch of films this guy made in Florida. And this must have been a rough one to start with, because this is not a well remastered film.
Mm.
And it sounds good and it looks fine, but man, it's like a couple steps above VHS. It's like, wow. Let's see. There is a scene in Whiskey Mountain where Christopher George and another guy who come out of the hardware store and firing guns at a pickup truck that flips over. Well, he had a stunt man that lied to him and said he knew how to do this and done something like that before. And as it was going, he was also apparently in Georgia where Deliverance was filmed, but didn't necessarily say, and I worked on Deliverance. But so they closed off the whole town for this, put a ramp in to do kind of, that classic trauma car flip like you see in all of their movies. And did it wrong. It angled off to the side. And if it hadn't been for a very solid lamp sitting in front of a hardware store, he would have gone right into the store.
Wow.
Oh my God.
But he ended up hitting that and it stopped him. And he said, the director's saying, all I could think the whole time was, oh, lawsuit. This is going to be a big lawsuit. I'm screwed. Got it all fixed up and everything was fine.
Oh my God.
The box set is named He Came from the Swamp, collects 7 of his movies and a pretty good documentary about him. They find a bunch of marijuana in the cave. That was real.
Oh.
It was the late 70s after all.
What a good treasure.
It is a lot. Crewed by a group from Florida and North Carolina. Let's see, what else is there? I thought it was an interesting, weird little note that Charlie Daniels gets no mention on Wikipedia or IMDb.
Oh.
This was all in a book that was with the with the movie. And in the intro that William did for the film. So I was like, wow, that's very weird.
But it shows up on the credits screen that he... Okay.
Yeah. So, it's... if you're into the backwoods, low-budget movies, this is actually a fairly decent one. It's well done. It's got a good, solid revenge against the wrongs committed against them by the marijuana growers, the bad guys growing that marijuana in a cave somehow. But hey, I've got my 10 minutes down.
Damn.
Nicely done.
And then some.
Yeah, well, this was a fine film. It's almost exactly what I was expecting. I've watched another movie or two by this guy, and he does neat stuff. And what I like about these films and the other ones, I've got another one from a guy from Wisconsin. It's just a different flavor of film.
Yeah,
you've seen every location you can. Dean and I were watching some random movie the other night, and there's the rocks from Star Trek.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, but you don't get that when you're watching a movie shot in Florida very often, unless it's in Miami. But so that was yay!
Nice work, Eric.
Yeah, really well done.
Got to reset the clock here.
Oh my God.
Actually putting 10 minutes on the buzzer this time, so.
I'll try to be quick. All right. So the movie that I picked was actually one that Micah had sent me at one point, and I was like, oh, I really need to watch this. This is a great excuse. It's set literally in Savannah, which is where he was when he texted us. So I went with the 1981 movie Madhouse.
Please, help me get out of here. We can start over. Just the two of us.
Our party is just beginning. You can't leave yet.
You're not still afraid of her after all these years? The stories you used to tell.
They were not stories.
And you're frightened? What of?
On our birthdays, she had this special ceremony.
Soon it will be our birthday again. Remember how we used to celebrate, sister dear?
No.
Remember what I did? How it hurt? I will make it hurt again. I'll make you suffer what I've suffered. Run! You'll never get away from me.
Julia, what is it?
I told you I shouldn't come. I told you.
Now, what is it? What's happened?
She tried
to do what? What are you talking about?
I know there was a dog in my apartment last night.
Are you sure it wasn't a nightmare? Now, you know how you used to have them, those dreams about dogs attacking you, the way you'd wake up screaming.
Sweetheart, the idea that your sister would sig her dog on your friends is a little bit off the wall.
They keep acting like I'm seeing things, like I'm making it all up, like I'm crazy. Look, honey. Do you think I'm crazy, Helen?
There's a light on in the ruin.
The big camera. I'll get it.
Okay. Good night. I'll call you tomorrow.
You want your little kitty? Here he is! Dog. Good boy.
This was an Arrow copy. It was a really beautiful Blu-ray edition, but of a movie that I don't know if it needed it. Anyway, Rotten Tomato score of critics, who knows? Not enough critics, and 24% from audience.
Ouch.
The budget was $2 million. Box office was ? No one knows. Directed and co-written by Ovidio G. Assanadis. He's Italian. He's directed 6 things that we all know about: Beyond the Door, Tentacles, uncredited, Piranha 2, The Spawning, and Over the Line. But he produced 35, although on a documentary thing he said he did over 55, so who knows? Anyways, Red Riding Hood, Wonderful World of Disney, Scent of a Woman, Rockula, Beyond the Door 3, Curse and Curse 2. He's often credited as Oliver Hellman. So the cast is starring a bunch of TV people, the lead of which is Patricia McKay, a.k.a. Trish Everly. She plays Julia. Has 11 credits, all TV. Dennis Robertson, 86 credits, TV. Michael McRae, 86 credits, TV. Morgan Most, 15 credits, hot blonde friend. Definitely worth watching. You can see her in an episode of Incredible Hulk, an episode of Dallas, and an episode of 8 is Enough. The story. So this is a very low budget piece, and definitely not getting any stars in it, but by an Italian guy who has an eye for Italian cinema. So it feels very giallo as you're watching it, not because it's like Argento, but because it's somebody who likes Argento. So we open with twins on a black screen, and all you see is like one twin rocking the other one in a chair and singing Rockabye Baby. And as the credits slowly go through the opening credits, we get closer and closer and closer until she smashes her face in with a rock.
Oh. Well, hello.
And this is where we're at. Then we cut to Julia Sullivan. Many years later, a young school teacher for deaf children living in Savannah, Georgia. She is called up by her uncle, who is also a priest, to come to the bedside of her twin sister, Mary. Julia hesitates as her twin was a sadistic and twisted jerk, and she has spent many years trying to separate herself from her and just get out of her life. However, when she gets to the hospital, because I guess she caves, and that's not reason enough, her uncle's like, by the way, you might not recognize your sister. This degenerative disease that she has affected her looks, and her face is kind of melting off. So She finds her sister. She goes through this like really dark hallway with lots of plastic sheets and then pulls one aside. And her sister, of course, starts screaming at her and freaking out. And she says, our birthday is coming up in just a few days and I'm going to make you suffer on it. So, which is not great because the uncle was like, she missed you so much. She's really wanted to see you. Why have you been away? So yeah, anyway, Julia leaves immediately and then she confesses to her boyfriend, who's a doctor, how she was tortured constantly by her sister who had this pet dog who she would have like bite her and she would constantly say these horrible things to her. She'd put out, matches on her and just her whole life really, really tortured her. Though she does have difficulty describing like really specifics. She was like, the things she did to me, like you get a few of these nods, but I think the writer may not have thought it through. And that's the sense I get with a lot of this. There's like a lot of like, it's horrible. What's horrible? Don't worry about it throughout this film. Also psychology back then, not as much of a thing. So basically he listens to her story and he's like, cool, why didn't you do something about it? It sounds rough. She's like, well, she was really horrible to me and I was a kid. And he's like, so? Like, wow. And that also consistently happens in this film. There's a lot of victim blaming of like, well, why didn't you just do something? Yeah, that's a good point. So of course.
$100, thank you.
Yeah, exactly. Slap her a few times, give her a glass of water. Come on, woman. Definitely a lot of talking about her while she's in the room past her. It's very good. So sure enough, of course, her sister breaks out of the hospital and goes missing. All of a sudden, a bunch of people around town start to be killed by a strange Rottweiler that was not in the hospital, but that's fine. A mystery Rottweiler shows up and starts killing everybody, including one of her favorite students. So rough times for Julia. As we get closer to the birthday, of course, you know that something is going to happen. Something sick and horrible is in store for Julia. Luckily, her boyfriend has gone out of town, so she's going to be fine on her own while her sister's gone missing and there's dog marks on her door and her friend just was supposed to watch her overnight and seemed to disappear, but it's fine and her student's dead, but whatever. Her sister is on the loose, or is she? It's a twin story. Who knows? So, the birthday party, once they get there, it's a really fun scene. I think that's where they put the most thought of this entire film. It's very good. You have a lot of dead bodies in like party hats, which is very fun. There's a lot of like clowns for no reason, like birthday cake with clowns all over. It's very, very strange. Also, the deaf school, I think they went to a real deaf school and have like actual deaf school techniques in there. And that was really neat and interesting to see, where the kids are using the different equipment, and it was just kind of fascinating. Twins, guys, unless you got something really strong and important to say about it, maybe don't. It's so played out. Like, I don't think they really knew what they were doing other than twins. They're creepy. The villain in this, there's a few twists and turns, but when we get to the reveal, super ham-fisted, but insane and kind of hilarious. And the entire film sort of twists a little bit. And you're like, oh, this is a different movie, but that's okay. I'm enjoying this very much. Thank you. So good stuff. It does end with the quote, life differs from plays, and as in, it has no plot, all is vague, desultory, unconnected till the end curtain drops with the mystery unsolved by G.B. Shaw. And you know what? Fuck you guys. Just because you didn't write a coherent story doesn't give you the permission to end that way. Because they didn't. It is very Italian. It just feels that way all the way through. The colors are just huge, bright, really interesting shots and lighting all the way through. There's a lot of wearing gloves, but they're like the fuzzy gloves, not like a black leather glove. So you're like, okay, interesting take. Lots of melodrama, lots of screams. All the blood is like bright red, like goo. It's extremely bad makeup and extremely bad effects, but it almost doesn't matter because of the tone. It feels fine. A little bit of trivia. Taglines. Julia thinks she lives alone. She doesn't. That's not a great tagline for this. The movie was filmed on location in Savannah, Georgia, in the notorious Kehoe House, which has a reputation of being haunted by two of the dead Kehoe family children. There's a lot of children cries and laughs throughout the house, though it advertises itself on Google as the #1 USA top hotel for romance 2021 and is now a bed and breakfast. So
wow,
go check it out. And that's really it for my film. Available on Arrow.
Wow.
Holy cow, look at you. You're so good at this game now.
I know.
Tell me this.
Okay.
You didn't sound like you liked it at all at the beginning, but you sounded kind of like you liked it at the end.
There's moments where I feel like it gets good in places, but then the end sucks. So you're like, there's a good little ride in there. There's a couple scenes that I'm like, okay, cool. But when you're trying to think about the plot and at the end you're like, it's going to be revealed and tied up. And they're like, fuck you, here's a fun poem. You're like, fuck you back. Don't you dare go to black. Nope, credits stop rolling. Unacceptable. So I was a little mad about that.
All right. Well, I'm just going to turn off the buzzer before it gets there.
Yay.
Nicely done.
Oh, that's my reward. Not hearing the bells of fury in my ear holes.
Oh my. 10 minutes on the egg timer.
Okay.
I chose for my film The Legend of Boggy Creek.
Here in this primitive river-bottom wilderness in southern Arkansas, along with deer, duck, crane, and beaver, lurks a creature that walks upright. Whether it is a man, a monster, or a myth, no one really knows. What we do know is the people around Fouke, Arkansas say they have seen such a creature nearly 250 times since 1954. And that this creature, whatever it is, emits one of the most terrifying sounds ever recorded. Legend of Boggy Creek, rated G.
Either of you guys seen this?
I'm not sure.
I definitely fell asleep during it.
Oh, well, there you go.
This was a first-time viewing for me, 1972. Budget of $160,000.
Oh.
Box office of $30 million.
What?
Wow.
Jesus.
No Rotten Tomatoes critics.
Oh.
And the audience has it at 44%.
Whoa.
Directed by Charles B. Pierce, who also directed The Town That Dreaded Sundown, Boggy Creek 2. He also wrote Sudden Impact.
Oh.
He wrote that with the writer of this film, Earl E. Smith, who also wrote The Town That Dreaded Sundown and something called The Shadow of Shikara. Starring William Stump, one credit, this film. Also starring John P. Hickson, one credit, this film.
Beautiful.
Right.
Narrated by Vern Stearman, who has 4 credits, all narration credits, including The Dark, The Being, and The Town That Dreaded Sundown.
Mm.
Okay, so first off, this is set up to be kind of a documentary-style film with reenactments. So the story is narrated throughout, but also each scene is acted out. So you're watching a movie, and every once in a while, the narrator comes in and lets you know what's going on. There's no interviews or anything like that. I found it to be a really interesting and compelling little movie. So it starts with a boy running across a field, and I was actually thinking about this young kid that they're making run through all of these long shots because they're far away shots, and he is just booking. And he looks like he's, 8 years old or something. And I remember being able to run for a long time, but this still seemed a little bit like child abuse, which made me like it more.
Oh, God.
So he's been sent to the general store to collect some men by his mom because she thinks she's seen a 7-foot-tall man monster near her house. So the men laugh and they send the boy back home. And on the way home, he hears this very eerie scream coming from the woods. It's definitely not human, but it's certainly not like any animal scream. And this is when the narration begins. And our lead guy is Jim, who heard that scream as a child and is now kind of telling the story of the creature in the town through narration. It's really just a bunch of little vignettes, and we're introduced to some of the people in town and then their encounter with the creature. And it gets a little repetitive because they've all had pretty much the same encounter. It's a tiny town. They claim it's got 350 residents, which seems almost impossible to me. If you know our neck of the woods, Stanwood, that's a very tiny town. That still has 5,000 people in it.
Yeah.
So 350 people is like a village, I guess.
Yeah.
So we're introduced to first a trapper and his son, and then we see their encounter with the creature, which they shoot in the chest, and then it runs off, and they make a big deal of how it ran off on 2 feet. Then we meet another guy in town who talks about something killing his hogs, and these are big 200-pound hogs that have been strangled. Coincidentally, before you guys got here, I strangled my own hog.
Oh, no.
All right. We're wrapping up on that note. Good night, folks.
There's a few more stories. Most of them are all very similar. Hunters out in the swamp or the woods coming across the creature. But there was one story that I thought was really effective about a woman with her sister and her baby alone in their house, and they see the creature peering into their window and then spend the night scared to death while the thing howls outside their house. And then the next morning they find their cat dead from fright.
Oh, my God.
Nice.
I'm like,
Wow.
I'm sure you could say from fright. We don't really know,
Just kill the cat, okay?
feline leukemia, the number one killer of cats. Not to bring everybody down.
Wah, wah.
There's another one with this teenager who has invited 2 of her girlfriends over to the house. Is this like a single-wide trailer? And they're having a slumber party, and the creature stalks outside. They all scream, and they grab a shotgun, which I like, but then they're too scared to load it. So they just sit there huddled on the kitchen floor holding a empty shotgun. And then the next morning, the parents return to find the girls mute from shock.
Oh, my.
And I'm like, I've been around teenage girls. This is not necessarily a bad thing.
I actually do agree with that.
The whole thing ends with no real resolution. Vanessa, you'd be furious. Because Jim returns to the area as an adult and tries to put together the whole story. And he finally says, you may believe the whole thing is a hoax, but if you're ever driving down here, keep your eyes out for a creature watching from the shadows.
Ooh. Well, as long as it doesn't end on a pretentious quote, it's fine.
It does not end on a pretentious quote. I have to say, really enjoyed this movie. It's surprisingly effective in some scenes. The acting is shockingly good, considering it is literally the residents from the town he decided to shoot in.
No kidding.
Wow.
Nobody's an actor in this. The only times it really falls apart is when they try to show a little too much of the creature, which is clearly just a man in a very cheap gorilla outfit. So that's a bummer. Tagline, it scared me then, and it scares me now.
Sure.
Okay.
Which is something he says at the beginning when the howl happens and he starts his narration. Okay, trivia. The film was a major success, considering its small budget, but the actors had to sue to get paid. After more than 3 years, the case was settled for $90,000. After attorney's fees, each actor got $1,000.
Oh, God.
Wow.
That's heartbreaking.
Yeah. The film is based upon actual reported encounters with a Bigfoot creature in the Fouke Boogie Creek area of Arkansas throughout the 1960s and early 70s. Most of the actors in the film were the actual people from the encounters. The creature was alleged to have attacked an actual family in 1971, but sightings of this go all the way back to 1946, and it is called the Fouke monster. So I thought it was weird that this was set in the South and it was clearly Bigfoot, but it is not Bigfoot. It is something else.
Sure.
Probably part of the Bigfoot species.
Yeah.
I mean, definitely. I mean, they're all over America, really,
Right.
if you really look.
The film was a tremendous success at drive-ins. It grossed $20 million, making it the 10th highest grossing movie of 1972, and then supposedly another $10 million in VHS rentals when it was finally made available for that. So that's pretty crazy.
That's wild. I remember it came out recently or something because it popped up all over social media.
It just got a remaster by the daughter of the original director. Yeah. So,
Nice.
but listen to this. It had a weird thing. In 1977, Return to Boggy Creek was released. It was directed by Tom Moore. Charles B. Pierce was not involved with the film's production, and the film carries over none of the original docudrama elements. It stars Dawn Wells and Dana Plato.
Oh, my.
Wells portrays the mother of 3 children who become lost in the swamp until the creature comes to their rescue. And then in 2010, another unauthorized sequel with no narrative connection to the original or its 1985 sequel was released as a straight-to-DVD movie titled Boggy Creek.
Ooh.
It concerns a Bigfoot-like creature who attacks a group of teenagers that are vacationing in the fictional area of Boggy Creek, Texas. The film was written and directed by Brian T. Janes. There is an official sequel. In 1985, Boggy Creek 2 and The Legend Continues was released. The director, Pierce, returned to direct this film, which was written as a direct sequel to the original film, thus the reason for styling it, the title as 2 instead of 3. And it follows the adventures of a University of Arkansas professor and his students, one of which is Pierce's son, on their trip to Fouke, Arkansas, to find and study the creature. I know that people like our buddy Craig really loves this movie.
Yeah.
And I think I have tried to watch this in the past, and it was like, this is a little shaky. This time, for whatever reason, it really worked for me. I had a good time with it.
That's
very cool.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And which southern state is this set in again?
Arkansas.
Arkansas. Wow. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Gonna be hard to figure out the sequel if I ever try to pick it up.
So then I was like, I liked this movie enough that I'm going to check out the sequels. The reviews for all of them are awful.
Oh, no.
I'm very interested in the Don Wells and Dana Plato one, just because 1977 Don Wells sounds like something I want to see. But otherwise, look at that. We all beat the timer this time.
Wow.
I'm turning
Merry
it off.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
There it is.
There we go. We get at least 2 basketball noises.
Okay, so we didn't discuss this at all, but who's got the next pick? I think that's Eric.
Well, I looked that up. I'd like to thank Alan for joining in and buying us some pizzas earlier this week. So thank you very much, Alan. Good to see you on the grouping.
Thanks, Alan.
Yeah,
the next one's Christmas.
Oh, we're doing a Christmas show, and we're doing something a little different this time. Instead of us all picking a Christmas movie, since quite honestly, we've gone through all the good ones. I think we are picking one Christmas movie, and we will all be talking about it.
Yes.
If you've seen any of our live shows, that's kind of what we've done at Crypticon.
Right.
With The Thing and
Big Trouble in Little China.
Yeah, that's right. So it'll be along those lines. Should be interesting.
Yeah, it'll be a fun one. Also, if you want to leave us a message on our Strange Eons Radio hotline, the number is 253-237-4266. Just pop in and say hi. Say you hate us. Say you love us. We don't care.
That's right.
But let us know if we can play it on the air.
That's right. Yes, listen. Load it. If you've already listened to the show on podcast, load us up on YouTube and just let it run.
Give us those numbers.
Get that fun going. Share with your friends.
I really appreciate the guy that got on the Facebook page and called me a cunt. That was lovely.
please no one use the C word in general.
You bring that up because living in London didn't soften that word for you.
I don't know why people think. I think I can get there are a couple movies where it was like funny and they would do that. I swear, the 10 years I lived there, that was not a thing. People were not going up to their male friends and going, "Aha, you crazy cunt." No one was doing that. That was not happening.
I think I know what the end bumper is.
Yeah, that sounds like a good one there. Well, we've had a couple guests at Crypticon for Britain that do speak like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. They might be doing it for us, though.
Could be our benefit. I could absolutely believe that from one of them.
Yeah, I think it could be. I mean, because there's an expectation, like the way I am over there is a very different version of an American.
You throw it around a lot?
No. No, I don't. No one should use the word, please.
All right, if you cunts are done, this is the part where I say thank you and give gratitude for all the people who are donating money, taking part in the Value for Value model, leaving messages for us on the hotline, or even if you're calling me a horrible word on the Facebook page, even that has some value because it made for a great story and this great conversation we just had.
Right. It's true. You did send it out in a group text, and I did start cussing immediately. This poor man, which he deserved. But anyway.
Right.
Well, thanks anyways, folks. Like and share and subscribe. Leave a review.
That too.
That's right. Okay, we're going to be back in 7 short days, and we are talking Christmas. Transportation and other considerations for Strange Eons Radio, produced by Pan Am Airlines. When you think of traveling, think of Pan Am. You can't beat the experience. Guests of Strange Eons Radio stay at Econo Lodge Everett. It's an easy stop on the road, you know what I mean. Strange Eons Radio is recorded live in front of a studio audience. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider leaving us a positive review on your favorite podcast app. Sit, Ubu, sit.
No. I will make myself feel so much worse than anyone else can. That's the most funny part about it. I've already punished myself on the way so much harder than anything anyone could say that by the time I get there, any kind of punishment is like moot.